Well, family, here we go again. I do not believe in a Tarian God tonight. We're going to get to it, and we're going to let everybody have a good night. Happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of Conversation with a Politician. With the politician, we're back at it again. If you would take a moment and share and like and comment and do whatever it is that you're going to do tonight as we get started. I want to start off by saying thank you. We love to thank God and we hate thanking people. And so I want to say thank you to everyone that's tuned in all year long. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in tonight. And thank you to my special guest. I've got the next generation of voices with me. I'm excited. Mr. Prayer Agent himself. We've got there's a lot on the screen right now, whether you know it or not. And I'm super excited for this dialogue. But I also really, really hope that this helps somebody. And maybe a book will be birthed tonight that will help us. We clearly looking at the state of our nation and looking at the state of our world. We're nearing a little bit of peace, but we're still in a little bit of turmoil. And every little piece of inspiration we can get, we need. And you might be that next sound. And so if this helps the next sound come forth, I'm all for that. And that's why we do what we do. Without any further ado, I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves and what they do. No one can tell their story better than them. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to let them say whatever it is they want to say. And then we're going to jump right into this conversation. We can go clockwise.
I guess you're starting here. I am Dana Tyler. I am an author and editor, and I assist people with self-publishing, and I teach some courses as well. So I'm so excited. Thanks for having me tonight.
How does clockwise go?
Yeah, you go. Clockwise would land you next, lady.
Oh, okay. Hi everybody. My name is Letitia Morris. I have been writing since I was about 10 or 11 years old. So I'm excited to share a little bit of knowledge with you all on tonight, and hopefully we get some books birthed by the end of this year is what we believe in God for. So I'm excited to be a part of this conversation.
All right, the Mickey Mouse that went on my hand, my side. Well, I am Elder Jackie Jones, and I am a new author. My first book I just wrote, which we'll get into talking about later. I am super excited to be a part of this conversation. Little old me who wrote one book, but I'm super excited to talk about a few things to get you jump started. And hopefully we share some things tonight that will pull out some things that's on the inside of you guys and launch you into your next place of destiny, whatever that may be and entail.
All right. Before we jump into this, we're going to get through some of the preliminaries. To my right on the screen, my left, but your right, is Dana Tyler. I'm excited because I was able to help her get some things done from a visual perspective. And because of that, she has an e-course that's available to you. So You Think You Can Write. She also helps out if you're going to self-publish. And so if you would like to do that, go to our website, tylerenterprises.org. tylerenterprises.org. And let's do that. Let's get that done. If that's something that you're not only interested, but also something that you know you need. Some of us, we know what's on the inside. We know what we want to do. We don't know how to get there. Here's how. That's why we're here tonight. Here's how. Go get that done. And the new author, as he just so eloquently stated, His Grace, His Eminence, the Elder Jackie Jones Jr. has written a book and is pushing a movement right now that I believe is next up. He's doing really great. That's why he's here tonight, because I believe he's doing amazing, and he has done a great job. Launched a book in the middle of a pandemic, and did an amazing job with that. If you're interested in that book, based off the content that he gives tonight, or just simply because you want to support, please go get that done at www.jackiejonesjr.com. www.jackiejonesjr.com. Please support him. Please encourage him, but also go get that book. Huh? Huh? We believe in throwing that money around here, and we don't mean that the strip club. We're
Come
going,
on.
we're going to throw that. We're going to get it to the man of God so he can do what he needs to do. And I get one amen. Oh my God.
Amen.
We're going to hop into this. This pandemic has been crazy, but as you can see, God is still blessing because you see 4 big smiles on the screen, which means that in the middle of a pandemic, God can give you exactly what you need when you need it. And I believe that books and writing are one way to get that across to the next generation. Because of that, we are having this conversation tonight, and I want to jump right into it. What is the importance of a message that I received to give that to everybody else? I think that if you have something, it's very easy to say there's a million other books. I'm not Bishop Jakes. I'm not this person and that person. What about the distinction of what God is giving me makes it so important that I need to find a way to tell that story and give out that message as an author?
So, a very famous author named Beverly Cleary once said, if you don't see the book you want on the shelves, write it. So I know one of the things one of my friends told me, as soon as you think the market is saturated or you think you don't have anything to say or someone else has already said it, go and walk down the bread aisle. There's a million different choices. Everybody loves bread, but Wonder Bread is for some. Some people like the whole grain, right? So anytime you feel like everything that's already been said has been said, just take a walk down the bread aisle. You still have something to say, and you have a book in you to write. Someone needs your story.
I would say that it's bigger than you. Either you are not writing it because you are lazy or you are prideful. Pride meaning you think you have time, and lazy meaning you thinking that it's just all about you. Your story or whatever it is that God puts in you to get back to put out to the world, that becomes a responsibility. It's not just a book, it's a responsibility. It's an assignment. And so, do it. I don't even know how to it's bigger than you. It's much bigger than you, and God is going to hold you accountable for the words that he gave you to speak out in written form. I think that a lot of times sometimes people want to write books for the fun of it. They just want to say that I've done it, or I want to release it on my birthday, or it's a special date of the year that I want to release the book. That means it's about you. But you become more urgent when you realize that somebody needs this. Even if it's just one person, then I've done my part. So, yeah, I get it done. Yeah, sorry.
No, I want to jump in too. But because to what Tish saying makes sense. I would say this: whatever you are passionate about, you let that passion drive you. When you discover your passion, when you really lock into your passion, you will do your passion for free. If you you will not put a cost towards your passion. That's when you know that you're in your destiny and you're in your assignment, as my sister Tish said, in your assignment. That way your feelings, your emotions, it has nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do if you're going to be a bestseller. It has nothing to do about your cover. It has nothing to do about, your royalties or the publishing or what route you're going to take. Lock into your passion, because that is the story all by itself.
Yes, it is.
That is going to speak volumes. So when you can identify that area, that is going to be the voice. That is going to be the content. That is going to be the message.
Yeah.
Well, I think we started that round off with some info, some content, and then we've got some folks on the screen that's going to push you into the deep now. So it's going to be that kind of night. But let's move on a little bit further. I like this question in the comment, and thank you for posting this. Do you think going into some details about your own testimony and how you overcame is a good? So yeah, this is where Dana Tyler comes in, because she's gonna help you through this right here. But
Yeah.
that's a good idea for a book. I'm sure
It,
that's what that's saying.
it really is. And what's interesting is I have a lot of clients who write the sensitive areas of their lives, right? There is a way to tell your story in a way that conveys the message without getting too personal. You don't have to give every, gory detail of some of the things that have happened to you or that you've experienced. But
Mhm.
some people experience trauma in their lives. Some people experience sexual abuse. Maybe you're writing about a divorce, or maybe you're a pastor or a first lady, and you can't tell all your church business, but you want to be able to give your testimony in a way that, and this is the thing, you need to share it from a place of victory, because your goal is always to give people hope and let them know that if God brought you through this thing, He can certainly deliver you.
That's good.
Yeah, and with reading in general, there's a level of expertise that's expected when you are reading a book. You want to know that the person that I'm listening to, or the person that wrote this book, has some sort of up close experience with what they're talking about. Right? Because don't tell me how to overcome something and you don't ever shed what you've overcome from. So
Yeah.
how overcame from. So how do you know how it's done? I remember when I first wrote a book, I wrote a book on my second book, I wrote a book on drug addiction. I have never been addicted to drugs in my life. And so I gave it to my cousin, my favorite cousin, who's not saved. And he said, all of this is good researched information, but you've never been on drugs. You've never experienced any of this. I was just excited about it being in school. We talked about it. So I said, I'm going to write a book about this. And he was like, no, this is not your vein, because this is not something that you've experienced firsthand. And so people want to know that you've experienced some of the things that you're talking about. And just like Miss Tyler says, you don't have to go into great detail, but there should be some level of relatability in your writing, for sure.
Absolutely.
Apostle, you have something?
Yeah, I always have some, but I try to sit back, you know what I'm saying? Listen to her. I don't want to preach. I ain't going to preach. No, I'll tag on just a little piece. But just to piggyback on what Tish was saying, I agree. I know all of us are, we're all saved, right? We're all Christians and we're confessing to be citizens of the kingdom of God, right? So in this aspect only was where I'm talking about this. A lot of times in our churches, we don't go deep enough. We don't go detailed enough. We always talk, and it's a dictatorship at people. So when we write books, we just go on a certain place and we don't go deep. And that's one of our issues, is why people don't know how to come out of what they're in. And a lot of times we need to go to those deep places and be vulnerable and be truthful, because to Tish's point, if I would love to read a book about somebody that's been through my struggle, not just talking about their struggle, but literally walking me through their journey to victory, to support what Dana was saying,
Right.
so take me through your journey. I want to read it because I may see myself in it, and it gives me hope and inspiration. So don't talk at me, or give me these wordings that just water stuff down. No, get to the depth of the matter, because it's something deep on the inside of me that needs to come up and out, and your writing can set me free.
For sure.
I see.
Okay.
No, that's good. I do want to add this. Do not take any chance and bleed on people.
Correct.
Oh man, they don't like that. It's all right though. We're gonna get through the night. Do not bleed on people.
And let me say this, Elisha, that you have to remember that there are other people who went on that journey with you, and they may see it from a different perspective. So you want to make sure that when you're telling your story, you're telling your story from your perspective. And it's okay to indicate how you felt, but don't vilify people. And like you said, don't tell the story objectively, tell it from your point of view, but you have to know that other people were on that journey with you and they will have a different perspective. And some people can actually, be offended by something that you may write, but as long as you're writing it truthfully and you're writing it from your perspective and you're not vilifying the other person, that's the way you want to share your perspective.
Correct. Well, with that being said, let's throw a couple of do nots right here. We're not going to stay here long, and it looked like you had something, Lady Tish, so we're going to come straight to you. Let's throw some do nots. Of course, we're not going to bleed on people, and secondly, we're not going to offend those that are a part of our story. What else do we not do when telling our stories?
Don't write from a place you haven't been fully delivered from. You're not ready yet. Don't write from a place you have not been fully delivered from. Go through the full process of healing and wholeness so that so you won't write through a broken lens.
Wow.
It's just like you were saying, bleeding on people. Oh, that is just so real. Because a lot of writers are on here tonight. We like to write. I started writing during journaling. My journals, they can turn into books, but I don't know if that's always the best thing because of the things that I was experiencing. And you have to think about your words are going to go all across the world. And if you're telling people to do things or giving them self-help tips of things that you didn't fully go through yourself, God will hold you accountable for that.
Yeah.
Go through the process of healing first before you pick up that pen. Seriously.
That's good. And
my do not is a little more technical. Do not write the way you speak.
I know that's right. Oh yeah, help us, Lord.
And what had happened was when I got there.
So there's only one client that I turned away, and I only turned away because the writing was just so terrible, like literally using words incorrectly. But what I did was, because I didn't want to charge her $1 million in order to, do the work, I gave her an example of how to fix the sentence structure and things like that. But you can't say I was with them, WIT, because WIT is an actual word that means something different other than you were with someone. So do not write the way you talk. And that even goes for people who speak well, because I have a lot of pastors and preachers and public speakers who, want to break down a dissertation. But what we have to realize is that our oral delivery is a lot different than the written delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And so while, if I read Apostle's book, I'm going to read it in his voice automatically, right? But if I've never heard his voice before, will his personality and character still come through with proper grammar and diction and sentence structure and word choices and good grammar? So don't write the way you speak.
We thank God for technicalities.
I know that's right.
First of all,
your testimony can be lost if people can't read it. And the point is, if you're taking time to write it down, it's because you have a message that you want to convey. Mm-hmm. So why would you make it difficult for your readers? Why would you make it difficult for your audience?
Absolutely. Side note, I just want to say this. I love how I can give someone a title and then everybody else just run with it. Love it. I love it. We're going to move along.
He looks apostolic. He looked like he got
apostolic. Doesn't he?
All right. Let's move on to the next one.
I only say what I see, but that's neither here nor there. Here, we're moving on. I am, I've got some ideas. I feel like, maybe this is out of the third. Okay, I finally come to grips with the idea that, okay, maybe I do have a book. Maybe I am supposed to be an author of at least this book. What should be my first step in going about this writing journey? First step. I don't know what to do. I've got an idea. I think I got this, but what do I do?
Read. go and read someone who has already written something about the subject that you want to explore. Because what you may find are ideas that you didn't think about, or ways of expressing ideas, or you may have a dissenting opinion from what's already been written. There are some things you will agree with. There's some things you may want to expound on. There are some things you may want to refute, but go and read. And, every writer is a reader. Read, 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 read. And the more you read, the more you'll be able to, oh, Bishop Travell Travis, hello, it's so good to see you. One of my favorite clients. He just wrote an exceptional book called Where Will the Mantle Fall? And
Awesome.
he is an attorney as well as a bishop. So he talks about succession planning, not only from a spiritual perspective, but from a legal perspective. And it is so apropos for this time, when we have so many generals transitioning, and we're wondering where will the mantle fall in the natural and in the spirit. So that's a great book, and I'm so glad he's on.
That's really, really good, though.
Yeah, that is one of the best reads I've had in a while. I felt bad taking his money.
Along with reading and doing research, I would say, if you're a person like me, especially being a creative and also a writer, we can get carried away. And so you need to do your accountability checks. And my pastor is that for me. So whenever I have a new book, like I emailed him last week, I'm like, Pastor, I'm going to send you this book. I need you to look it over and tell me if this is the season for me to release a book like this. And the answer was wait. And that's okay. But you want to make sure that this is the right time for that book, because sometimes you can write books out of season. Sometimes you can miss the season to release the book in, because like I was saying earlier, with the pride and then being lazy, and then it's just not the time anymore for that book. So you want to make sure that you have somebody that you're accountable to, that can look it over for you, talk the idea through with you, and see, okay, if this is a good idea, and then start doing the research and the outlining and all of those things.
Yeah, I would like to add on to what both have said, because I agree with the reading and doing the researching, because that is so important.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in the area in which you are seeking to write, and the accountability, I totally agree with that. Also, to understand that you're creative, and God has blessed all of us with a creative mind.
Mm-hmm.
Hone in on your creativity. As Tish said, sometimes we'll be all over the place because we got all these large ideas. You need to find a space, like a quiet space, to just journal some thoughts down. And it's okay to write your big ideas down.
Yes.
Because they sit in our heads so much, and it can cause us anxiety, because we're like, oh man, I want to go like this, I want to go like that. Write it down. It's okay, no matter how large it is. Write down some things that you feel. Write down some things that you see. Find something that inspires you and that sparks your creativity. And sometimes you have to take it in pieces. Mm-hmm. I know for myself, sometimes I have to turn on a movie, and I'll watch a movie and I'll sit there, and it'll be like a line from a movie that stuck out to me. And I'm like, oh my, I feel something. Oh, let me write this down. Or sometimes I just sat and I worshiped, or sometimes I just walked to the store, or did the bread aisle, like Diana was saying, because, or I actually went to Target and walked through the book section, looking at covers, seeing what cover stood out to me, what caught my attention, so you're so creative, but you got to hone in on your own personal creative space, and then the things will begin to come organically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Heart to mind cleared on that one.
There's so much you can say about writing, because I think it's important to say that if you're serious about writing, you should write every day too. Mm-hmm. Whether it's journaling, or if you sometimes it's really important, and I'm talking to myself right now because I have a book I'm supposed to have finished, and as Tish was saying, it's for this season and it should have been done, but I've been lazy and reading everybody else's stuff. But it's so important that you set a timeline for yourself and work on it a little bit each day throughout that time that you give yourself. And it's so important to start with, you can start with your big ideas, but it's so important to make an outline. Give yourself a strict guideline, and don't try to, you don't have to set out to write the great American novel on your first try. Keep it right, keep it simple. Give yourself 5 main ideas that you want to write about, build on those things, and or give yourself time to organize your thoughts. And believe it or not, organization will help your creativity flow.
For sure.
It sounds oxymoronic, but it's so true. Like the more organized you are, like then it's like, all right, okay, I know everything I want to say about this. And then it's not too convoluted, and it's not just all out there.
Well, all right. Just like everything else, there are crazy roadblocks, I imagine, when writing a book. I think we love, whenever talking about anything, we always see those grand moments, those successful moments, those moments where it's like, wow, this is amazing. For the elder, the apostle, I'm sure on the day where he launched his book, everybody that saw what happened was like, yo, this is amazing. I'm inspired. Maybe I have a book and things of that nature, but you're sitting in the middle of a success story, not understanding process. And this is so relevant to everything. As entrepreneurs, we look at the entrepreneur, the one at the top of the mountain, and we forget all the valleys that they really actually had to go through. That's what I want to talk about now. How do you combat those walls when they come up? Writer's block and some of the other things, not to mention the fact that life continues, even though you're writing a book. You're writing a book, but life did not stop. And so how do you combat all of those extra things that are happening in the process of writing while living life?
Oh, Lord, help us today. Okay. So for me, again, this is my very first book. And I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't know anything about writing. It literally happened. Now, I'm not going to be like, Paula White deep, but
Please.
I ain't going to be like that.
Please.
Sorry, y'all. Ain't going there. Whole other conversation. But honestly, mine came up because, literally it was prophesied to me many years I would write. Anyway, in January the 1st of last year, 2019, my bishop prophesied that 2019 would be a year of writers. He told us to go home. He said, write a paragraph, write a sentence, write something. He said, if you do that after this New Year's Eve service, he said, God is going to bless your work and it's going to be a bestseller. I went home that night. I wrote a paragraph. That paragraph started on January 1st, and at the end of March, it turned into 55,000 words. I didn't even know what that meant. I literally knew nothing about writing. And so Tish, my sister on here, I was talking to her because I knew she wrote books. And I was like, Tish, what do I do? And one thing Tish told me that stood out me, and I never forgot it. She said, write till you empty yourself out, just until you just exhaust yourself. Just write. And so literally the Holy Spirit was giving me what to write. So I didn't experience the blockage because everything came to me as it jumped in my spirit. I was just writing. But here's the deal. I was documenting this. Prayer is what I was born to do. That's what God put me on the earth to do. I don't know anything else. So prayer, I was journaling my prayer experiences, not knowing that God was going to have me share it literally with the world. I am very private when it comes to my intimate time with God in prayer. I don't share that. You did not used to go live and pray openly. I have my stuff with God eternal and here at home or whatever and pray at church. But God had me to go through these experiences and I had to share them with the world. So I had so many experiences that the Lord told me to put into this book and then expound upon other revelations, and it came. Now, at the time, this is my quick testimony and I'll wrap it up. At the time, I was married and doing really good. And as soon as I completed writing my book, my marriage went under attack. And we got separated and ended in divorce. And I'm like, now, God, how I go from writing a book and I'm married and everything's going good, and this happens. And now I threw the book away and said I would not put my book out because I felt like, hey, it tore up my life. Hey, it took something away from me. But the Lord made me revisit it, healed me from it, and then it was time and season for it to come out this year. I didn't have to force it. God said it was time. And when it was time, we went forward with it. So if I could encourage anybody, I don't know if this is going along with what you were saying, it's just when you let it be an organic experience. If there's anything I can share about with my testimony, is let your writing be organic. When you hit moments where there's blockage, yes, we can pray and all of that, but in humanism, take some time to step away from it because you're not going to get it all in one sitting in one session. You know what I'm saying?
Ross, it's definitely a process. And I know for me, when I started writing, what I had done was I had basically taken things that I was already teaching. So I already had notes and I had already, rehearsed it so many times in my head that, in fact, I didn't even think about writing. This is what's so weird. I didn't even think about writing a book. I was, so one of the things that I do is I run singles ministry. I have several singles retreats and things like that. And I was teaching at a class. And I had given out some handouts. And one of the guys there said, "Sis, you're just giving this information away?" He's like, "This needs to be in a book." And I said, So I went home and I basically took everything that I've been teaching, over a series of years and put it into my very first book. And at the time, I had also been invited to be a part of an anthology project where there were 27 other authors who were contributing to a project. But now, one of the things that self-publishing has done is it has opened up the market so that it doesn't take as much to become a published author as it traditionally does. You don't have to wait for traditional means. But what it also means is that a lot of people can put out a product that's not necessarily that great. And that's actually how I got into editing, because the first project that I did, it was not something that I was proud of. And because there were 27 different people that told 27 different stories in 27 different ways, right? So everybody didn't have the same capacity to write, didn't have the same whatever. And so I had asked the person who had put the project together if I could just kind of revisit and kind of give more continuity and flow to it and make it something that I could be proud of. And what print on demand has done is it's made it so that you don't have to spend $20 a book and you don't have to order 2,000 copies or whatever, but you can still produce a good quality product. So one of the things that I usually do when I'm stuck, there's something I need to get out, but I always take a change of scenery. I am a beach gal. I'm from California. So Newport Beach is my place of inspiration. But now that I'm here in Georgia, there's a beautiful little waterfall that's not too far from my house. But if you get out into nature, if you just do a change of scenery, even if it's just go check into a hotel for a weekend, just to kind of spur yourself and get yourself that change of environment, it will help you push through some of those times when you are blocked.
So that's so awesome. Oh my God. I love the beach too. That's so nice. Okay. That just got me excited. So I would say, I think this speaks to urgency. For me, the way that the Lord deals with me is when he gives me a book, is either because of the season I just came out of or one that is coming and I'm not aware of. And I can't shake it. And I don't know if that's the same for you, Dana and Jackie, but I just can't shake the message until the season has passed. And then I look back and realize I missed it. Like, that would have been good. And then what'll happen is I'll look around and see so many different confirmations of, yes, this was the right season. And so what I would say is obey the voice of that urgency. When I have to write now, I record voice memos. If I'm driving, I'll cut the video on my phone and I'm just talking, or I'll use the notes in my phone. If you're a writer, you don't go anywhere without a notebook. Like it's just a part of you. So I'm always writing, I'm always jotting down ideas. And now I'm starting to obey the voice of that urgency because the Lord will start showing you different things to confirm this was the moment. And just like Jackie was saying, you wrote a book about prayer that you started in January. Who knew that we would be in a whole pandemic this whole year? We need prayer. And what if you had said, okay, Lord, I'll wait. I'll wait till August, or I'll wait till July, or I'll wait till November, December. I'll just do it next year. So many people that needed that message this year would have went without it. So if this is something that the Lord has put on your heart to do, and you know for sure that he put it on your heart to do, you will do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it. You have to find the way to do it. And I always tell people, even when I was teaching the classes on how to write a book, if it's not urgent, it may not be the season.
Yep.
Because if it's really a message from the Lord, it's always around you. You always hear it. You always thinking about the next thing to say. You always thinking about you think about chapter titles and just so many words that the Lord show you. And when they start to fade, you might be coming out of that season. So you gotta come on. Get to it. Yeah.
If we have nothing else on that, shameless plug. In my entrepreneurs masterclass, I refer to that voice or sound of urgency as intuition.
Yes.
You have to feel what's going on around you. You got to be able to adapt and react just about that fast.
Yeah.
Because whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, writer, whatever the case may be, you're simply waiting for your moment. All the work you put in lands in one opportunity, or one season, as we call it. And when you get to that season, you cannot let that season come and go past you and you not release whatever it is that you have, because you might release it in another season. It may do well. It'll blow up in the right season.
Yes.
So we have a great example on the screen. The apostle, the elder, who got it out in the right season.
In the right season.
In the middle of the pandemic, in the middle of people not being able to go anywhere, in the middle of people, resources being down and things of that nature. Him being able to put it out in the right season generated mega results.
Hallelujah.
That's what you need to make sure that you're doing. If you're not getting anything else from tonight, make sure you release what you have in its season. We have a question on the screen, but first, she just said something that's major. I do this myself. I want to put a resource out for you right quick. If you go to your app store, there's an app called Otter. You can literally hit the button, speak, and it'll transcribe while you're talking.
Wow.
And so you want to go download that. I told you in the promo content that we would give you as many resources as possible. So anyone else that's on, if you hear something and you're like, hey, I got a resource for that, please let us know so we can help them as much as possible. Go to your app store, not right now because you're watching this, praise God. Out of this, go to the app store and download Otter. We're losing viewers because they're trying to go download the app. It'll be there when we get done. Huh? It'll be there when we get done. All right, we have a question from the bishop, and he says, what is everyone's marketing strategy? Information tonight.
Yeah.
This is good information. You may not shout off of this, but you're going to grow. Lift your hands and give them praise. What is your marketing strategy?
My marketing strategy is pretty grassroots and organic. I use email lists, email distribution lists, social media marketing. I don't like to pay for social media marketing. I like to try to trick the algorithms. So, but I have a pretty grassroots marketing system. Although with different publishing companies, there are opportunities that you can use to, for example, for Amazon, you can use their pay-per-click marketing. So, every time you go and purchase a book on Amazon, you'll see that it suggests other books. Well, those people paid for those ad spots. And so you have those options to do that as well. So my marketing strategy is very simple.
Honestly, it's you don't get any more black and white than that. However, I have done the Facebook ads, and I've seen them be beneficial to others. But but for me, good old word of mouth has been the best strategy, really. And then what you can also do is get people to review your book for you and post a review. You can do a couple Facebook lives. You can go out and give your book to different bookstores. There's a lot of, well, I'm in Illinois, I'm in Indiana, so I would be speaking in terms of Illinois and Indiana, but there are a lot of bookstores in Illinois and Indiana that they'll accept your book. You can go there, set up a table. I just believe in word of mouth, because that literally is the best marketing tool. And then the subscription list and the email list and things like that as well.
My marketing strategy is get on everybody's nerves. Flat out. Listen, I am marketingguru.com. I've asked everybody to buy my book. I have reached out to people individually. Probably some of the people that's on here right now that see my inboxes and see the red, and I went back and they ain't respond, and I sent them something again. But, I'm serious. I don't have a problem asking. And I think that's one thing that you have to be comfortable with is asking everybody.
Yeah.
Asking everybody there. If your merchandise is good and you are proud of your merchandise, then sometimes, and I agree with them with the paid subscriptions. I did the Instagram ad, I did a few of those things, but 95% of my, probably more than that, maybe like 97% of my success literally came from me just simply taking the time to go on Instagram, to go on Twitter, to go to social media and literally inbox and ask people to purchase my book. And I have found so much success. Thank God.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna throw this out there, and this is not an attempt to be deep. This is just an attempt to be real. If you want to market a product that is coming, your life markets it right now. Your social media timeline markets it right now. Great way to market a product that is coming is to make sure that you're asking questions to your environment to warm them up to the idea of the answer that's coming through your product.
That's good.
If the answer is a book, then you want to be asking them things that have to do with your answer. If your answer is service, if your answer is the answer that I offer right now is content. And so I'm always asking questions about content. This podcast tonight, the guests that are on are here because I asked a question and they were the answer. And you have the answer on the screen. And that's how I think every podcast has been. I think Lady Tish got upset on me one time because I wasn't very specific when I posted a question. And she's like, we know this is for your podcast. Why can't you just go ahead and give us the details what you're looking for? Because it kind of got synonymous that if you put something out, you're probably going to get something back with that later.
Very good.
So you want to market every single day. Every time I post, I'm telling you what I'm going to do next. You just have no idea. You just have no idea. Social media posting, it has worked for me, but you want to be very specific with it. There's a little bit of hacks to use for it. I'll do like $1 a day and go like 7 days, and the engagement will be crazy. But you have to be specific about what your target audience is, which means you have to know your target audience.
Yes.
Okay?
Well, with the stupid algorithm, what they end up doing is because they've already reduced the fact that they only show your timeline to 1% of your followers. Then what they do, the reason that they want you to buy those ads is so that they can show them to the rest of your followers.
To the rest of your followers. That is very true.
Yeah.
That is
so there are definite hacks that you can do to circumvent having to do paid ads. Using social media.
That being said, I will be the first one.
Online, but I'll tell you.
There we go.
Right.
Okay.
That's why,
Okay. Thank you.
with that being said, I'm the first one signing up to her algorithms class.
Yes.
I've
Me
been trying to
too.
figure out these algorithms all
They're
pandemic.
so annoying. And then they go and shift them, yet again. So, but there's
Mhm.
ways around them. And it's also important to leverage the influence that your supporters have. Get just a review will go a long way. Of course we're going to say our books are great, but it's when someone else says, "Oh my God, you got to go get Jackie's book," it was
Yes.
just everything. It goes a lot further than you saying, "Man, go get my book," right?
Yeah.
So much influence. But the goal is to leverage the influence of the people who already support you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Very
great.
true.
I'm gonna tag on that. Be specific. Like being specific is gonna take you a long way. If I'm writing and it's based is the target audience is women, are women, I'm not going to hit up someone that does basketball events for kids.
Yeah.
I'm going
Right.
to have a conversation with Lady Tish
Mm-hmm.
because she has a supporting base of ding 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 women,
Right.
right? And so with me partnering with her or whatever that's going to be, what that allows me to do is tap into a market that I need because that's the market that I wrote to.
Yes.
Right. Right.
Are we got everything out on that one? That one got good.
That was great.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Well, Bishop, you got it right one time. Let's see if you got it again. Bishop is tapped into the holies of holies tonight. How has the pandemic impacted sales, especially without conferences and convocations? And for this one, Elder, I really want you to go first because you were able to from what we've all seen is throw out a book very successfully
Mm-hmm.
with nothing. With virtually, this pandemic has left us pretty much, with no, no artillery as usual. But I think a lot of us are finding out that we got a couple things in our bag. So, what were you able to do to get this done?
Yeah. You know what? And I please y'all don't think I'm deep all the time because I'm not. I promise y'all I'm not. It sounds like it, but I ain't. But listen, when we got our stimulus check back earlier this year, back in like April, May, when I got it, the Lord told me, take that entire check and invest it into your ministry, into this book. He's like, don't spend it on nothing else. Put it into your book. He said, because he said the government, you're going to get government funding. They're going to underwrite your ministry. That's exactly what he said. I took that check and I did exactly what he told me to do. And I have seen, and I've been working, praise God. I've never missed a check. My job didn't close down, none of that. I have not had to use my own money from my job to pay for anything for this book. Nothing. The money was coming in from people that were sowing.
Yeah.
Unexpected money was just coming from places because I obeyed God. And so I haven't, thank God, again, had to be in a deficit or had to beg or get any loans or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything came because I obeyed what the Lord told me to do. And so again, I didn't have a large following. I just had social media presence and people who knew me from my spiritual father, Archbishop William Hudson, the choir I sang in for Dexter Walker and Zion Movement for 10 years. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot. But because I asked people out of my obedience to obeying God, the sales was just going. They were coming. And so it just kept growing and kept evolving. So the only thing I can say is listen to God. Follow the plan of God. He laid it out for you. It is going to be successful and your ministry won't fail.
And honestly, I never saw that big of a difference doing conferences and convocations and things like that. As a matter of fact, those were my worst vending events. I remember one time vending for MegaFest, and I'm thinking, TD Jakes, everybody in the world is coming. I probably sold out of all of those people, maybe 50 to 100 people. So I was in the red. it's rare that people at events and things like that people buy books at convocations and conferences. They want t-shirts, brooches, necklaces, and things like that. Now you can be successful, but the majority of what I've earned did not come from a conference or a convocation. So it was always like Jackie is saying, my brother is saying, like obeying the voice of the Lord. And then when the Lord tells you to talk to someone or to give that book away for free,
come on.
that has blessed my life.
Yeah.
Because they'll read it and then they'll give it to someone else, and then you'll make another connection and then another connection. So making sure that your content is good, making sure that you're being obedient to the voice of the Lord, and just do the footwork. The sales, they take care of themselves, really, to be honest. And then also consistency. I'm sorry. You gotta put it out there every single day. You gotta drain the market. You gotta drench it with your book. If you believe in it that way, you gotta do it.
Right.
Absolutely. One thing too, the pandemic has done is has forced creativity. You know, they say that necessity is the mother of invention. When people could not go out and physically buy a book, ebooks became amazing. And let me tell you what, if you learn how to get creative with your bundling and with your, I always tell first-time authors the best way to sell your first book is to write another one. So yes, you got that one out, and then you can get creative with creating your merchandising and creating packages. Hi, my Taylor, another one of my favorite clients who's really well right now. She is a woman in pursuit. She's written a beautiful devotional, and she's got a full teaching series and all of that connected with it. But the other thing too is if there are no convocations to go to, make one, create one. We're no longer, I mean, technology has made it so easy for us to connect with people literally from around the world. And you have to take advantage of the time that people have. I know in the beginning, some people kind of sat around, twiddling their thumbs, and they were, upset about coronavirus or whatever. But some of us was like, well, now let's see. I don't got this conference. I don't have this engagement. I got to still, make this money. Yeah. So, if the engagements aren't coming, create them. Especially as someone like Bishop Travis, who has a specialized something that the world needs. I don't know if I can. I'm not going to tell what we do. Well, but create multiple products to go along with your books. You're not only stuck on the sales of. Yeah.
I love that. So he said, maybe more specifically, sales after seminars and speaking engagements.
Of course, your book sales depend on how popular you are. If you're a relatively unknown author and an unknown speaker, of course, your book sales are not going to do as well as, T.D. Jakes can drop anything in his, because everybody is familiar with him. But even when you go to, and that's why I said, if you're not invited to MegaFest, create MiniFest.
That's right.
Your audience, because the audience that is for you will absolutely build. And, one of the things that I did for another client is, they wrote their book, but I was like, why don't we do a workbook along with that? That way you build like packaging, and it's time for Christmas, and people are going to need those bundles. And then and like I said, ebooks are the way to go right now.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Because that's direct profit. You don't have to worry about the publishing house or any, printing costs and things like that.
Yeah.
Y'all made me give it a step. Y'all better go download this e-course now.
I know that's right.
I know that's right. Oh my goodness. Listen, so I've written my book. I've closed the last chapter. I've written my book. What do I do next? I think we are kingdom minded, so we're going to get a certain way every so often. But I believe tonight is very informative. In that vein, I'm done. Right, I had the idea, I've got it done. This is my season. This is my time God is about to breathe life into my book. What do I do next? In the middle of all this breathing, what's the next practical step?
You get an editor.
I was about to say you need an editor.
You get an editor. And you get beta readers, because you definitely need. Now, don't give it to everybody.
Correct.
Give it to 1 or 2 people that you can trust. 1, not to steal your content, and 2, to give you honest feedback. Because you don't want someone just hyping you up and telling you, "Oh, it's the best book ever," and it's garbage.
Yeah, and it's good.
It's garbage.
Come on, Dr. Dana. Preach to the people.
Yes. And you don't want someone to pick apart your idea when it's something that is, phenomenal. So you want to get the people that you trust to give you good feedback, to give you good insight. You want to read it, and you want to reread it, and you want to read it again. And then, of course, you get your editor, you get it published, and then you print it, and then you read it again.
Yes.
And I would definitely add on to that and saying you have to get the right editor.
Yeah.
Because I went through several editors for one book, because it was like they were kind of, my voice was leaving for some reason. It just didn't feel like me anymore. But they were good, they were recommended, but they just weren't for me. So I would say make sure you choose the right editor and be very clear, be very concise about what you're. As a matter of fact, the right editor is Dana, right?
The right editor tonight is Dana Tyler.
That's right. Right. You want somebody that understands what you are the message you are trying to convey. Absolutely. I remember I had an experience with an editor, and she told me, well, I don't think this is something that you should say, or I don't think this is something this is a chapter that's supposed to go in the book. Okay, and I don't think you're my editor, so we're gonna do something different. Yeah, but you have to. You cannot be afraid to speak your mind to those editors. If you don't like the way that it's written, the way what was changed or revised, you need to have a great relationship with your editors so that you can put out the book that you want to put out.
I have a piggyback question for you on that. So are you saying that it's important as a writer to make sure you have some non-negotiable communicated items through your book that you can't let go or what to the wayside?
I would say, and I don't want it to sound like editors don't give good advice, because they have years and years of experiences. And I was a first-time writer, so I didn't know what I know now then. And so some things she was right about. But I just saw what I wanted in my own head, and that's what I wanted to put out to the world. So then, yes, it was important for me to have non-negotiables, but now I'm more flexible. But what I want it to be conveyed. So I would say yes and no. That's kind of hard for me, because I don't want somebody to go out and say, well, no, this is the way that I want it worded, and the grammar is all wrong, and all of the. Be flexible, okay, but then also build that relationship so you can talk with them about what you see and what you envision. Yeah,
that's so important. And one of the things that I try to do, and I always tell my clients this, because so many people do have bad experiences with editors, they feel like their voice is being taken away. My goal, even though I say don't write the way you talk or whatever, if there's little vernacular things, I'm going to leave those in there, but I'm going to fix the glaring errors. Because the goal is for your voice. If I notice that's the way you speak and that's your style of writing, I'm not going to kill that, because that's your voice. Yes. And ultimately what you want to do is you want to argue for your content, just not the construct. So if this is important to you, and that's the thing, and like you said, you do have to have that relationship, because I have to tell people up front, I was like, we're gonna have this conversation, okay? And I'm not trying to be mean to you or whatever, but or you'll see, because sometimes as an editor, from our point of view, you've written 7 different books and tried to combine them all into one book. Yes. And what we're taking away is something that is probably for a different book. You got
Yes.
several different things that you wanted to say, but they're not pertinent to the main subject of what you're
Yes.
trying to convey
Yes.
in the book. So it is important to have a good relationship with your editor so that you can trust that what I've taken out
Yes.
was not necessary. But I'm not gonna, butcher your book and take away from your message.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's
that's
awesome.
your content, not necessarily the construct. That's good. You
Yes.
been
That's a sermon. Let me write that down. That's a sermon.
you've been fasting and praying, dude. I love it.
Yeah.
We do have a question from the comments. Rolinda McCoy asks, "How do you know if you should be an editor yourself?"
You
Oh,
shouldn't. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
No, I know Dr. Dana got a whole lot of technical stuff to say. But here is from my experience. I would say that every author should be an editor, but let me explain what I mean by that. In my journey, literally, I read my book 25 times, and I wish I was exaggerating on the number. I read the whole book 25 times. When I sent it to my editor, she sent it back to me. I looked at it again. I sent it back to her. I was like, okay, this is the final. Let me read it again. Each time we took it in sections. We took it in parts. We took it in, because I, for one, I'm a perfectionist by nature. So I might not know everything as it pertains to like grammar and where periods go and I might not know that, but I do know my voice to what Tish was saying and what I'm trying to convey. And I wanted the message to come out correctly. So she did not, thank God, because we did have a relationship. She didn't water me down at all, but I had to put on the hat of an editor as well as an author. So there was times I had to turn on and off which one I am. So am I going to be the author right now? Am I going to be the editor? And so you should program yourself and sit with your editor to learn the techniques of editing and educate yourself on it. I would not recommend, and like I said, Miss Dana can elaborate more because she has more experience, but I would say as an author, I wouldn't be just the sole editor. You always need more eyes looking on your project, because what you feel might be good content and what you might feel is a great message might not necessarily be the right message for your audience. So you always want to involve someone else in it. So yeah, that's what
Reverend, that's like when you got a post for Facebook and it's about to take off, and like 6 months you'll be like, you know what? I think I'm gonna take that one down.
I'm gonna take it down.
that didn't have the glory on it that I thought it would. Just for Dr. Dana to go, because I know she's gonna give us something. Before she goes, if that's the route that you want to take and you're going to self-publish this thing, well, sitting right next to me is someone that can help you do that. So please don't forget, make sure you go to her website. If you're interested in that, if that's a route that you feel like you want to take, there goes the resource right next to me. And so I'll open the floor back up right there.
And if you decide that, perhaps you want to get into editing, maybe if you are good at, reading through things, if you go to a store and you notice that the signs are spelled wrong, you might be an editor. But if it's something that you feel like you're being led to do, I would certainly love to have that discussion with you as well. But you definitely have to read a lot. You want to read a lot.
Okay. I think that's it on that subject.
The Tish is gone. Sit back.
Out of here. She's right. All right. So we've gotten all that done. I want to go to some foundational pieces. When we're talking about target audience, and I believe this is so important on so many levels. In 1 year for my business, my target audience has taken a major shift. It was a shift that was going to happen at some point. It was bound to happen. It just happened to be the year that it happened. With that being said, when looking at your target audience, can your target audience change per book are per, by a work, or when you're a writer, an author, do you have a target audience that's consistent? Are you consistently writing to the same audience, or can it change by what you're talking about and who you're talking about it with?
That's powerful.
It wasn't that powerful. It was surface level. I'm coming out of the deep. Praise God.
No, you no, you're not.
As you were asking the question, I was thinking in terms of myself. I look at it as I have a message. A part of my purpose, a part of why I'm here in the earth is my message. My purpose is healing. God has put use my words to heal. And anytime he uses my words, whether it be verbally or if they're written, there's always a level of healing or deliverance that takes place. No credit to me, but it's all him. And so I create my target audience based on my message. So it can vary. It really can. It can vary. My primary target audience has always been women. I don't really know why. And then like young people, young ladies, young girls. But I'm starting to see now that more men are taking on to the ministry, and that's okay. But I write my books based on my message.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was saying earlier, I'm not going to put out a book on overcoming drug addictions, how to maintain professionalism in the workplace. I probably could, but that's not the message that the Lord has put in me. So I write based on the message, and then the audience kind of takes care of itself. And it's weird for me. So I'm not really, an expert at that question, but I just write based on the message that God gives me, and then the audience takes care of itself.
Gotcha.
I am a firm believer that you write to a specific audience. Everybody, one of the first things I ask potential clients when they are kind of stuck with how to get started or what to write or what they want to write, I'm like, well, who are you writing to, and why do they care? Why? Why should we pick up your book as opposed to any other book? What are you going to say that is so specific or necessary for this particular audience? Because again, if you take that trip down the bread aisle, everybody doesn't want whole grain wheat bread. Some of us want, some oat bran bread, or we want the white bread, or we want, brioche or whatever, So you have to write to that specific audience. And I've written 7 books, and they're all to different audiences. Everybody, of course, I want everybody to buy my book. But the reality, everybody's not going to buy your book. Right. And the reality that more women read and buy books than men. So you can keep that in mind when you're writing as well. But you definitely, when you think about who you're writing to, you should really imagine what that person looks like. What does your ideal reader look like? What did they have for breakfast this morning? Like really think about who they are so that you can really convey the message that you want to give them to them.
I agree. I only wrote 1 book. but so you gotta ask me a question about book number 2 and 3 on the show. But I did have a target for this book. I actually had 3 levels. Level 1 was for those who had never experienced a depth in prayer at all. They didn't know where to start in prayer. None of that. My second level was for people who have been introduced to prayer, have some kind of a common relationship with prayer, but they wanted to go deeper. And my top tier audience was people that's been praying the same way for years, but they wanted more. They needed to know was more to it. It's more vast. So I had 3 different tiers that I was targeting in my book, and it was something for each of them to grab from it. And praise God, from over 600, almost 700 copies in 2 months that's been sold, I've gotten testimonies like crazy from all ages, gender. I mean, people that have said that like, I can relate to this in your book because my prayer life has changed, or
Yes.
I've been praying this way for 20 years, and like you have shown me some principles like this is shifted, and I prayed for this, and God responded to me quicker than He did before. So the testimonies that came back from the people really said enough by itself. The book did what it was supposed to do.
Yes, sir.
And still is doing what it's supposed to do.
I'm so proud of you, brother. I'm so proud of you.
Praise God.
Majorly proud. Okay, so we have two questions. I believe the first one is probably the lighter of the two questions. What are your thoughts on reading your book out loud for platforms? I believe that is not the process. Dr. Dana, what is the proper process for audiobooks?
There are several platforms for audiobooks, and you don't have to exclusively read for Audible. There are a number of platforms that you can use, and you can connect with me, Kathy, and I can give you some free resources for you to.
Free resources? We can't get them here. I'm just playing.
But there are resources that you can use to get started doing audiobooks. But audiobooks are a great resource, and they're another tool that you can use to boost your printed sales. And it could be as simple as hiring Sumo TV to record for you, and seeing it on YouTube, and getting that audio book out there to the world.
All right. Ain't he all right? I'm awesome.
Right. Come on, Sumo.
I receive it even now. Even now, at the mere price. Okay, I'm just. We thank him and bless him now for the dollar bills that will come from this podcast. Glory.
I see victory. Victory.
I smell the sound of fury. I'm
Lord.
okay, we're not doing that tonight.
We're not going to do that tonight.
That's how you know I played too much, because I got caught in that way too quick.
Lord, way too quick. It was so easy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I believe a rebuke is on its way tonight. Rebuke is on its way. It's all right though. It's been a long time. I've been good. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, funny.
Following question from Joanna Quick, one of the greatest supporters in the history of support, period.
Yes, she is.
We love her. What is the best way or medium to self-publish? I believe I'm sitting currently next to one of the best ways or mediums to self-publish. And so for the third to the last time, this is my third to the last close. Dr. Dana, Tyler Enterprises. Go do that. That's one of them. I'll whatever else y'all come up with won't be as good as my answer, but here's the floor.
So there's no one best way. I would suggest that you use all of them. Like I said, print on demand publishing has made it easier to become a published author than trying to wait for an agent to get you a literary contract or all those other things in order to get royalties. Now, there are benefits and there are downsides to every company. Some companies charge a greater or pay you less of a royalty, but there's just variations for all of the different ways. But I would suggest that you utilize as many of them as possible. And companies like Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Lulu Press, there's tons of ways to self-publish by what we call print on demand, so that you don't have to pay up front for those publishing resources.
Were y'all hearing that? Did y'all go to sleep and did y'all get that answer?
Saved me thousands of dollars. The first project I ever did was thousands of dollars, and I felt like I took that money and literally burned it up. So that's why I make sure that my fees are reasonable. I don't gouge people. I want to make sure that you get your project out to the largest audience with the best quality.
Yes.
Whoa.
All rise for the apostle, Email Washington. We thank God for him.
All right. Do we need to stand up and welcome him? Or...
And then welcome him. Everybody up for his grace. For his grace. Listen, this has been amazing. We have come, as the songwriter said, to the end of the road. It's not a Christian songwriter, so don't look that up. You're not going to get anything that's going to put you in the spirit except a certain, okay, whatever. Anyway, now that we're here, I'm going to allow each one to kind of read just more of what you can do, where they can find you, or if you have it, a word of advice for a first-time writer, or someone that feels like that's a path that they need to go down, but they don't know how to do it. If you haven't been on this whole last hour and you feel like you have a book and you don't know what to do, this hour just solved that problem. We asked a question and here's the answer. And so please, 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 if you've joined in and you know you have a book on the inside, not sounding deep, just sounding real. If you have a thought, you have an idea, and you know that it's going to help somebody, bless somebody, X, Y, and Z, you need to watch this video. Yeah. Not because I'm in it, but because there's a whole lot of information that's going to help you, a whole lot of practical information that you can use like tomorrow, really like tomorrow. Yeah. And so please do that. But we ain't going to push the time no further. Everyone, please, if you have any advice, please give that. And also, how can we find you and support what you're doing?
Well, I'll go first. First of all, thank you for having me. This was great. I enjoyed being on here tonight with you all, Dr. Dana. I will be in touch. Amen. I'm on all social media outlets. My name is Letitia Morris on everything, and so you can just search me on Instagram or Twitter and Facebook, obviously, and then I'll come up and we can be in touch and be in contact, and you can reach out to me personally if you have any more questions. The only thing that I will say, I think tonight was very informative, very, very informative. I would say, as we talked about earlier, obey that voice of urgency. Obey the voice of urgency. Write the book in the season that the Lord gives you to write it in. Please take it from me. Don't be like me and miss several seasons because I didn't want to do it. I was lazy or I was so caught up in life. Obey the voice of urgency. God gave it to you for a reason. There are plenty other authors he could have given it to, but he gave it to you. Why is that? It's something that you can say better than someone else. It's the message that God wants you to convey. So obey that voice of urgency. Get it done. Get it. We're in a pandemic.
Yes.
This is a good time. Everybody in the house. This is a good time to sit down and discipline yourself and just get it done.
Yeah, I got the same thing. Just do it. Like Nike, just do it. My greatest advice is read, write. Do it now.
How can we find you, Dr. Dana?
So I am on the Instagram at Dana D. Tyler. You can go to tylerenterprises.org. And if you need to schedule a consultation, we do that as well. Literally, we will help you from A to Z. Put pen to paper and get published.
I love it. I'm reaching out to Dr. Dana. She done blessed me tonight. Let me tell you something.
We need a prayer workbook. We need some coffee mugs. We need a prayer package.
Whoa! Come on! No, I too have enjoyed this conversation. I don't even want it to end. This has been great and super informative, and I really thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. You can find me on my website at www.jackiejonesjr.com. On there, you will not only find my book, which looks something like this. I keep it everywhere I go. I keep it everywhere. Right here. All right. You can find it on my website. I have a J3 collection. So I have my mask and hoodies and shirts and t-shirts and all kind of fun stuff on my site, with more things to come with that as well. The only thing that I would say, to echo some things that some of my other co-laborers have already mentioned, is listen, find your passion, lock in on your passion, and follow it. There's something that I talk about in my book in regards to prayer, but it's about how God has given us a distinctive voice pattern. Your voice does not sound like anybody else's voice. You were not made to carbon copy anybody. You were made in his likeness. So whatever your voice, whatever your passion is, whatever your lane definition is, when God hears you pray, he's listening to you, the one he created. He doesn't need to hear another Bishop Jakes or Juanita Bynum or Rod Parsley or whoever else. He wants to hear you. So whatever your book is about, that is yours. That's what God put on the inside of you. It's a seed that he planted, and he is waiting on the investment that he made in you to come forth. He wants his investment back. So don't be afraid or ashamed trying to compare yourself to everybody else. Don't write for money. Don't write for popularity. Don't write for validation. Don't write for acceptance. And don't think that because you wrote that you're going to get the support of those closest to you, or the major support in general. You're going to write because the Lord, as Tish said, put a message in your belly that the world needs to hear. And as long as you allow God to lead you and pull out of you what he put inside of you, he will bless it. And he will take it further than you could have ever imagined. I'm a living testimony. I'm gonna shut up because when I was younger, I wrestled with reading comprehension. I could not comprehend anything I read as a child. I was never in any special classes or anything like that. The Lord reminded me of that just as I was writing this book. I could read things 12 times in school and I would never retain what I read. So if I was a person that dealt with reading comprehension, I wrote a book, 190 pages, didn't understand, you can't tell me that God ain't real and God doesn't have something to say through me. So that same grace that he puts on me is on Dr. Dana, it's on Tish, it's on, Elisha, it's on all of us, and it's on you. So launch out into the deep and be successful in God.
I love it.
Yeah, so he really just tried to turn this into a revival. We're gonna put him on the whole screen. We're gonna put him on the whole screen.
So funny.
I want to say thank you. Listen, this has been full of information. I believe in a world of spiritual highs, and we're also major on, hey, I want to jump on this live for a prophetic voice, a prophetic sound. I want to hear what God is telling me, and this and that and the third. While all of that is a thing, I really, really, really do pride myself on being able to push content that's practical. And I hope that tonight was good for you. Not just good to where you can get information and go on and keep living and it absolutely not affect how you live. But I hope it was information that you can take with you and do what it is that you know God is calling on you to do. I'm not going to go into the deep. We just pulled the Bishop Jones from there. And so I'm not going there. But what I am saying is, if you have the idea, just do it. Just do it. One of the things that's going to hurt you the most in life, I promise you, is when you know God gave you something, and because you don't do it, you watch someone else do it.
Yeah.
Yep. Regret.
Nothing else will eat you alive. Like knowing that God gave me that, and I didn't do it, and they're doing it. Don't be posting out of jealousy and posting out of all that. Don't do that. Just obey next time. Yes. And if this is your next time, please know we might all, there might be deliverance that we need that we don't know we need. That's in your mouth. That's in your head.
Hallelujah.
And if it's there, please get it down. That is the whole point of tonight. Is to make sure that we're all being accountable, even our writing. I've done as good as I can to try to cover about everything that I could have over the span of this year, and we'll reamp it and do it again next year. But at least for now, I want to thank you all for tuning in. If you tuned in tonight, you shared it, you liked it, you commented, I want to thank you for that. And to our guests tonight who came through highly anointed in writing, their pens are anointed. God breathes on their pen. Grease on their pen. That's what happens. Especially hold up. Especially this one.
Oh, hey, you got to hold on. Wait a minute. See up there. Now see it? Get this up.
That's marketing 101. I cannot add it. We are excited that you came on. We're excited that you joined us. And until next time might be this year, next time might be next year. Be safe, be good. Corona is still out and is claiming lives. Do not be the next live. Wear your mask, do what you need to do, wash your hands. They say wash it for 20 seconds. I wash it until I feel power. I just be in there.
My hands started peeling.
My hands be wrinkled. I tell you what, I will not take Corona home with me. So you ought to do everything that you can to be safe. All right, y'all. This has been fun. We do not want to end this, but we will. And until next time, we'll grow with you later.